Alrighty everyone, Super Slab here, back with another video. Today we're going to talk about Ninjago Season 15, Seabound. Now, the finale came a few days ago, so I gave it a few days for those who did not see the season yet to watch. However, there will be spoilers, so keep that in mind when you're watching this. If you have not watched the episodes of Seabound yet, or maybe any other references like to Wild Brain, like the season 11, season 12, season 13, season 14. There's gonna be some like references to that and maybe some spoilers from that, but probably not too much for season 11, 12, and not much for the season 13. But so let's get started. We're gonna get started and we're gonna click on the first episode. So the first episode's called Big Splash. Now this episode was a good start, and this continued the Vengestone arc. Now the Vengestone arc was basically started in season 13, episode 7. I'm pretty sure called the School Sorcerer episode, when it was near the end, where the School Sorcerer basically, or in this case King Vangelis, basically said that he was trying to get Vengestone. So yeah, so the person so he's trying to sell Vengestone to this mysterious buyer, while the mysterious buyer is helping Vangelis with the kingdom of Shintaro, of him being king and all that stuff. So people, this is gonna be hyped up. We're definitely gonna maybe hear some more, hopefully hints. Hopefully next year it's gonna be over the Vengestone arc. The Vengestone arc seems pretty cool, and we have a new person who is working for this mysterious buyer called Misdemeanor, or in the French versions when I was looking at it, it apparently was Miss Dynamite for some reason, but for the English term, we're gonna call her Misdemeanor. And Misdemeanor's character so far seems cool. Seems similar to the mechanic, honestly, because the mechanic and her just look similar. Like they have like some sort of flamethrower ability. Once I've seen the mechanic was shooting out flames in the season 8, the first episode. I think it was a mini fight between Kaizen and the mechanic. So that kind of was a reference. We have the henchmen who were basically working for Ronin in the last season, which was season 14, The Island. Now working for Misdemeanor. I mean, technically for the last season, it was technically 2 henchmen who were working for Ronin. Maybe there was some others. We just didn't see them, but who knows? We have, yeah, those henchmen now are working for Misdemeanor. Misdemeanor seems like a pretty cool, interesting character, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with her next year. I mean, if they're going to continue the Vengestone arc, there's no way we're not going to see her, right? They're not just going to bring her up here and like the next season, the next year, they'll be like, Misdemeanor, you failed. Get out of here. You're not going to come back. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that Misdemeanor will come back. We'll see more of the henchmen, and we'll probably find out who the mysterious buyer was from season 13. And I hope also when we learn about the mysterious buyer, I want to know how long they've been playing this out for. Has it been since the end of season 12? Has it been before season 12? Like, that's going to be very interesting to find out. So now on to the actual episode after the Vengestone stuff. This season is technically Nia's season, and Nia does a very good job in this season. And in this episode, I honestly feel bad for Nia in this episode right now, because she has lost control of her powers. But like her powers has not been stolen necessarily, but her powers are not working right, and as of these episodes at the time, we didn't know why Nia's powers didn't work, but now we obviously know why, what happened. But yeah, Nia's powers were not working and basically could have harmed the other ninjas because in episodes 1 and later too, you'll see that there's been when Nia steps into a room with the ninja, there's some trouble with the water and all that stuff. And then we learn a little bit of the Wajira's backstory, and there was like a one little Urlopian who destroyed Wajira. It's not very explained well in this first episode, but basically Wajira has water and wind powers, which is kind of still weird because there's a storm amulet now, which is kind of lightning powers and not wind powers, but oh well. And so Master Wu decided to call Nia's mother, Nia's parents, well, specifically for Maya, so Maya can help out Nia out. And Nia does not like that idea, and you'll see more in the next few episodes. So yeah, Ray and Maya, who are basically Nia's parents, come to the monastery, and that's it for episode 1 called The Big Splash. Moving on to The Call of the Deep. Now, this episode is kind of weaker than episode 1, but it's still a good episode. This episode's like the episode where we figure out they start the adventure. So, this episode basically we spent for the first half we spend with Nia and her mom, like her mom trying to help Nia out a little bit, but Nia's like too upset and asks Master Wu to help out, get Maya and Ray to leave. Specifically Maya. I don't know about Ray, how Nia's feeling about Ray. Honestly, her dad. But and then Master Wu tells Nia to talk to his brother, and his brother's like busy playing with his dad, Prime Empire. And then when Nia comes down into more of the base, like there's a base underneath. Lloyd tells Nia that there was a water mission, and Zane Pixel went to help out and stop an octopus thing, weird tentacle guy, and there was an energy pulse or something that comes through the water and basically starts coming and basically not and when Nia's basically in the hot tub, the energy pulse literally knocks the water out from the hot tub. And Zane and Pixel, once they save the people, they obviously come back to the monastery, tell that there was an energy pulse and believe that's why Nia's powers have been disturbed. While Nia thought it was basically her who caused that hot tub scene and all the others. No, there's more. And then Master Wu tells Pixel to get ready to the Hydra bounty because they're going to Tartarus Trench, I think it's called. The name of the place. Alright. Number 3, Unsinkable. This episode is another good episode because it starts the underwater adventure completely. Like it gives you time to explore the underwater or the deep. So this is Unsinkable. And this one is this one's kind of funny, like, and this is when literally Kai and Cole stop coming in frequently. They'll appear near the end, but this is where Kai and Cole kind of disappears after a little. They appear a little bit in this episode, and then they don't appear again until episode 10. Well, Cole kind of makes like a voice, but his voice cameo in episode 9, but yeah, that's in episode 10 technically. But moving on, we're gonna talk about this episode. So this episode basically starts off with basically who Pixel or saying that it is unsinkable, and Cole's like, you know what happens when you name a ship unsinkable? It usually sinks. And then Cole literally stops and tries to say something different. It's gonna be funny. And then Kai and Cole are left behind. Master Wu is there trying to study the Masters of Fire, aka Kai and Ray. And Nia says goodbye to her mom. And there's like a cool epic shot when they come out to the docks, and Jay kind of ruins it with shooting it, almost hurting Lloyd. Then they hurry into the ship, and basically Zane starts talking in a pirate voice, a reference to season 5, episode. Well, it was technically the 5th episode. I don't even remember the numbers at this point, because it's been so many episodes. So, yeah, it's cool that they are coming back to the Zane pirate talking. He's like, "Arg." Well, not arg. Ahoy there, salts. Cast out. I know I'm doing a horrible pirate voice, but like it's supposed to be. It's pretty funny, and it's only for this episode. So for those who think they're gonna get annoyed by Zane talking with pirate, don't worry. It's just for this episode, and it's just for a little bit. So yeah, Pixel thinks that guesses that Zane downloaded basically movies on pirates, which was also kind of like a reference to season 12 with the Detective Zane and all that stuff. Which was number 13. I'm pretty sure it was episode 13. But obviously, Pixel didn't know why Zane was talking to the detective, and Zane basically said that because. So yeah, the ninjas like explored like the ship. Well, so yeah, Jay and Nia basically just talked for a little bit, and they noticed that somebody is on board, and Lloyd figures it out too, and then Pirate Zane, which I'm going to mention just Pirate Zane for the rest of this episode that I'm talking about at this point. Pirate Zane just comes aboard not comes aboard, just comes to Lloyd, Nia, and Jay, and they all discover that somebody has came on board, and they saw it is Maya. Maya has snuck in aboard, and Nia was like, wanted to get rid of Maya and like take her back home, but like they're too far out, so they can't. So they have to take Maya with them. And then they get attacked by some literal. I don't even know. I forgot what they were called. Like what those things were. Like they were chariots or something. Somebody was attacking the ships, and basically the ship basically fell down, and then and it has sunk. So this was I love the foreshadow in this episode. That basically Cole is the one who kind of foreshadowed that the ship would be sunk later on. And then Zane's literally pirate Zane's like shiver me timbers. Our vessel has sunk. The way they ended that episode for episode 3 was actually very interesting. It leads you into a scary or what's gonna happen next. But obviously they release 2 episodes at a time at the. Teletoon does that early on. So episode 3 is done. Now we're moving on to the episode where things start to get crazy. This is the episode where things just start getting more exciting. Like the season starts to get better from here. Not to say that episode 1 was very good. Episode 2 and 3 was okay. They were not the best, but episode 4 is where things get started and very crazy. So this episode basically the ninja Pixel, Jay, Zane, Lloyd, Nia, and Maya basically they come to figure out how they're gonna fix the Hydra bounty, and they decide that they have to go follow the NG post and see if they can fix the Hydra bounty. So Pixel reveals that there was A suits, and there was only 2 of them, and she was gonna make for the rest of the team. But so Nia and Maya both got 2 of them. Originally, Nia didn't want Maya to come along for this either, but they ended up coming along, and Maya basically was talking about how much of how sacrifice, like how much she had to sacrifice to keep Nia and Kai safe, and hope that Nia wouldn't have to make a sacrifice. See, this scene was very good because this literally foreshadowed the ending of the season a little bit. That there was going to be a sacrifice, and it might have been bad, but anyway. So Nia and Maya make it to the temple, and they meet a new person called Kalmar, or I don't think they reveal his name in this episode. Actually, to be honest, they don't even mention that they don't even reveal that his name is Kalmar in this episode. I think it's the next episode, but we know it's Kalmar, so I'm just gonna mention it's Kalmar, or in this case, Prince Kalmar. And Kalmar is voiced by Giles, I think Giles. Don't really know about his actor because I didn't watch Lego Next Nights or anything like that. But the voice is very cool, like very menacing, very evilish. And then so Kalmar comes in to check with Gluttonous. I don't even know if I'm saying the name right. Gluttonous is basically the one with the Merlopian who is basically in like a who has like similar to Cyrus Borgs and like Cyrus Borg's legs. It's similar to Cyrus Borg's and like spidery legs. Is like trying to work on finding fake amulets, like trying to work on an amulet that can replicate the storm amulet. Because they need 2 amulets to basically awaken Wajira. And they only have the wave amulet. So they're trying to make fake amulets, which that is why. And once it goes horribly, there's like a pulse that comes and hits Nia. So that's why Nia's powers aren't working right because of Kalmar and Gluttonous working on how to make a fake amulet. But Kalmar eventually sees Nia and Maya trying to escape, but Kalmar stops them and figures out that Nia is the master of water. And Evil laughs. That ending, though, to episode 4 was very cool, very creepy. It made you feel. I kind of was so excited to see what happens next week. I mean, again, they were released. Teletoon releases them 2 episodes a week on Sundays. So it was kind of interesting to see what would happen next week. Very scary, kind of like an ending, but like not too scary. But yeah, episode 4, that was a good one. Next one, The Wrath of Kalmar. Now, this one is another good one, so Nia and Maya wake up from being passed out from the previous episode, and Nia and Kalmar talk to themselves, and Maya thinks that Wajira is basically a myth, but Nia reveals that on their previous adventure, aka the island, they found like a storm amulet, and which was from the island of the Keepers. And Kalmar comes in, and he basically eardropped and heard most of this stuff, and introduces himself, and Maya says something like weird, like says like, "Oh, it's nice to meet you too," and like says, and Nia's like, "Don't be nice to him, Mom, because he's evil." Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore most of this like bittery argument, but I love this part. The part that's coming up is very funny to me. And then Nia pretends to be dumb, like, "Where is the amulet?" And Nia's like, "What amulet?" The the island of the keepers. What keepers? The storm amulet. The amulet. And then Kalmar's like, "I'm gonna ask one more time. Where is this?" And then Nia starts calling Kalmar Calamari. And that's like a cool nickname for Nia. Nia nicknames Calamari for the rest of the season, but still, obviously, Nia calls him Kalmar sometimes, but Nia likes to nickname Kalmar Calamari. And basically, Gripe comes in, and who is basically the second in command for Kalmar, basically says that his father wants to speak with them. So Kalmar leaves. Kalmar goes to sees Trimar, his father, and Bethamar, who is basically going to be the side character later on, which you'll see in a few episodes, basically appears as well. And Trimar hears that things and hears that another ship has been sunken and thinks that Kalmar did sink another ship. But Kalmar obviously says that he didn't do it and basically goes back, leaves the room and basically tells Gripe to get them to talk about the amulet and get rid of them. But so yeah, Nia and Maya escape from the temple wall, and meanwhile, while this is going on, Jay is going to literally quote unquote sacrifice himself to power up the Hydra bounty. But here's the problem with Jay's sacrifice in episode 5. It's not real. Like we know they're not gonna do this. Like even in the beginning, they're not gonna kill off the main character at the beginning of a season. That's not good. That they will not do. But I mean, we know Jay is gonna power up the Hydra bounty, but the music makes us seem like he's sacrificing himself, and the reason is he's gonna save Nia, which is very sweet, honestly, very nice. But so that scene is like okay, it's not the best, not the worst, but it's like a decent. So yeah, Jay powers up the Hydra bounty, and they go rush to save Nia. And now Nia and Maya are saved from. Oh wait. So yeah, episode 5 is good. Long live the king time. That's the next episode. So, long live the king. What did I think of this episode? This is like one of the things. This is the episode that made Ninjago fans shocked, and you'll see why later when I talk about it. So long live the king. So yeah, Nia and Maya get saved by basically Lloyd. Lloyd and Jay. They get into the Hydra bounty, and the Merlopians eventually surround them and says that they have entered Trimar's premise. So they take the ninjas to meet King Trimar, and basically the ninjas basically say that, or specifically Nia says that Kalmar is trying to awaken Wajira and captured Nia and Maya. So Trimar asks to bring Gripe and Kalmar to him. And then Kalmar and Gray basically pretend that they didn't do anything, and basically lie and said they don't know anything about this. Like, and Kalmar eventually admits that he sunk the ships and basically said that he wants revenge on the humans or the surface dwellers because they used to live in this. They used to live before the humans basically. So eventually Kalmar eventually strikes his father. He strikes and literally injures Kalmar. Not Kalmar, Trimar. Trimar isn't dead yet. However, though, literally, Kalmar shooting Trimar that's like just crazy, honestly. Like, that just made this season even better. Like, showing that Kalmar is so ruthless to even kill his own father. What other villain killed their own parents? Nobody. Kalmar is unique to this. Kalmar is very unique to this. So obviously, Kalmar pretends like said, "Help! The surface dwellers have attacked the king. Stop them!" And then the Merlopian guards come in, and Gripe tells them to don't let them escape and come in. The ninjas escape, and they're still in, and Kalmar floods the place, and they're still trying to escape the Ripper Sharks. Meanwhile, Bethamar comes in and sees father or King Trimar and basically takes him to the physician, but they couldn't make it, and Trimar eventually tells Bethamar the truth that Kalmar did this and promises, and Trimar, and then Bethamar promises that he will basically he will destroy Kalmar and work with the human surface wellness. Like he'll be helping the ninjas out. So yeah, that episode, and then Kalmar comes in later and he gets the crown from Trimar. Eventually becomes the king, while Trimar is dead. And then Kalmar starts saying, "Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live the king!" Like that was an amazing episode. This episode was awesome. I loved it. Now we move on to this one. Escape from Urlopia. And Urlopia is, by the way, the city underneath the ocean. And this episode is very good as well. So the ninjas eventually escape from the Ripper sharks and manage to be freed from that room. And they meet Bethamar, who basically who tells the ninjas that Kalmar killed his brother, and Bethamar starts helping out the ninjas and sends the Urlopian guards back to Kalmar, thinking that Kalmar wants them. But however, though some of the Meropians in that room it also saw that Bethamar was helping out the ninjas, and basically they fought against them. While Kalmar basically saw the Merlopian guards that Bethamar sent came to him and thought, and Kalmar realizes that Bethamar is working with them. So then there was an epic chase with Kalmar coming in after the Hydra bounty and Lloyd, who was in the ASP suit, and they managed to escape. And they set course to the island of the Keepers for the Storm Amulet. And they obviously got Bethamar. So very good. Bethamar is also a very good ally character. I know there's mixed perception on him, but I prefer Bethamar much better than like Twitchy Tim. Twitchy Tim, oh my gosh. I do not like Twitchy Tim at all. I'm sorry, I love Bethamar a lot more than Twitchy Tim, but Bethamar is not a bad side character. He's still very good. Like, I know we usually don't have characters too often that wants to like avenge basically hit a father who died besides Nanakon. Nanakon is like the only one who wants to avenge his father and like his city, but like Bethamar, but here's the thing, Nanakon was a villain, Bethamar is a good. So there's like a difference with that. I love that. There's like a difference. Now we move on to the tale of Bethamar. Now this flashback is taking place while the ninjas are going to the island of the Keepers while they're like traveling in the Hydra bounty. They're hearing Bethamar tell the story. And Bethamar is adopted. So Bethamar's in the flashback is being trapped behind corals and the eels are coming, and Trimar comes to save him while Kalmar does not like it, and Kalmar eventually finds sea scrolls and tells and is using Bethamar to help find the temple. And then Kalmar sends Bethamar away in a rude way. It's very sad. But then Lloyd says something similar like, we can't choose our family, but we can choose our friends. Which is also a similar quote to season 4, episode 8. Yeah, it was episode 8, Day of the Dragon or something. Yeah, I think it was that episode. So, that was a good episode. Now, here's the part. Now, here's when the episodes start coming over every day, like the whole last week. Last week, all of these episodes came from episodes 9 through 16. They all came like Tuesday through Friday. So now we have episode 9, The Storm Amulet. And this episode basically takes us back to the Island of the Keepers, which is very nice. It's good to see them again. However, they don't do much in this episode, and this is like their only appearance in the season, so besides like a flashback for the next episode, but they don't do much. They give basically when they come, they basically try to get ready for Rogiri to come, but Nia tells them not to, and basically asks for the amulet, and the keepers give, or in this case, Chief Mammotus gives Nia the amulet, but Zane figures out it's a fake, and Nia realizes that Clutch Powers has the real one, and basically took it back to Ninjago City. But when they went to the Hydra bounty, they obviously told Cole to tell the Kai, Wu, and Misako and Ray to go to the Explorers Club to stop Clutch Powers and get the amulet. But then after they finished, maybe 2 seconds later, Kalmar burst into the Hydra bounty. He figures out where the island is from a map, from a sea scroll, and basically asks for the storm amulet. So Jay and Nia's like, you can have it. Jay's like pretending, is also going along with it, and they're like, no, I won't. And then Jay gives the fake amulet to Kalmar, but Kalmar overheard again that it's a fake, but takes that fake amulet with him as well. And then Kalmar decides to let them survive, so they'll feel guilty about themselves for when Kalmar attacks, it'll be their fault. So Kalmar destroys a little bit of the ship, but they can't. So the ninjas over there cannot escape. While Kalmar escapes into and comes to Ninjago City. Nia feels guilty, and Maya comes to help out Nia, and says that Nia will figure out how to get us off the island. And that sets us up for episode 10. And this episode was very good. Like the confirmation scene between the ninjas and Bethamar and Kalmar. The ninjas Bethamar against like Kalmar and Grape. I mean, Grape I think was there, but it was mostly the ninjas Bethamar and versus like Kalmar. It's like so cool, like how Kalmar is using his old tactic of over eardropping, just like that he did in episode 5. So it's very cool, and he wants, and he took the fake amulet because he has a plan, which you'll see later down the line. So yeah, that's episode 9. Moving on to the next episode, Riddle of the Sphinx. Riddle of the Sphinx. This episode is kind of one of the weaker ones, but still very good, very fun. So this episode starts off with Kai battling Ray, or like sparring, and Master Wu basically is watching and basically asks Kai to throw a fireball at Ray, and Ray runs away. And that's kind of it for that training session. And then Cole comes in and tells Kai Wu that and Ray that the Clutch Powers has the Storm Amulet, and they go to the Explorers Club. While Clutch Powers, who I do not like Clutch Powers, he is not a good character. He is not really a good character, honestly. I mean, he's a character we're supposed to hate anyway, so. I mean, I hate Clutch less than Season 11 now, but, like, still. I'd say at least in Season 14 he's at least decently better. Here he's in season 15. No, man, he's not. He comes in, he brings the Storm Amulet, and those weird British guys. I'm not even sure what to call them. I mean, they probably have names, but I really don't care that they what their names is because they're not really that important. And those three guys who are. I mean, it's not Cecil, obviously, not Cecil, not that one. But these three are like watching basically Clutch Powers using a documentary about his last adventures about the island. Meanwhile, the Kai, Cole, Wu, Ray, and Misako come in and basically, and Cecil, who's the manager of this, basically starts to sees Misako and does a re-integration process, which takes a few years or something, like 1 to 2 years. And Misako basically asked to do Riddle of the Sphinx or do the Sphinx. They passed the riddle, but Cole made. Here's another cool quote now from Ninjago from Cole, from Kirby Memorial. Cole answered Cake, and basically Cole says, "Cake is the best answer to everything." Oh man, I love that quote. That quote is so funny. It feels so. Man, I feel bad. This is Cormoro's last season. That quote was still very cool. Master Wu answers with discipline, and then there was one guess left, and Kai answers with fire. And this riddle was basically a reference to Ninjago Decoded, which was also very cool because I'm not pretty sure not everyone watched Ninjago Decoded, but I'm pretty sure almost everyone did. So it was a cool they used their reference from there. So the Kai, Cole, Wu, Misako, and Ray come in. They see Clutch Powers with the Storm Amulet. Then Kalmar busts in and asks Clutch Powers for the Storm Amulet, and Clutch just gives it to Master Wu, and then they start fighting. Kalmar fights off Wu, and then his minions, aka the Urlopians, start fighting off Kai, Cole, Ray, Misako, and those three British guys start to help them out. Start helping them out as well, and then it ends with Wu and Kalmar clashing in that part. And now we'll go on to the better part of the episode, the Nia story. Zane, Zane basically says that they cannot fix the Hydra bounty, and Bethamar suggests Nia to summon the power of the whales because because Nia is named Nia after Nead. Yeah, it's been confirmed that Nia has been named after Nead with the D. So Nia goes into the water and tries to summon whales, but later in the episode, the Nia eventually starts getting upset that she can't do it and blames herself, and then eventually she summons the whales, which will take her back to Ninjago. This episode was very good. I obviously love the Nia's story better than the Kai, Cole, Wu, and Ray Misako story. Like the beginning, I guess, was fine and was good, I guess, in the beginning. But like the Explorers Club was okay. Clutch Power still sucks. Cecil sucks. I don't care about the British guys. Those three British guys who were watching Clutch Power's made up story. And speaking of Clutch Powers, I bet that how he managed to steal the real one was he made a fake amulet. He made the fake amulet, like a fake amulet, and he took the real one, and he had two amulets and decided to take two of them. One of those amulets fell out of his bag, and we believed it to be the real amulet from the end of the island, but it ended up being the fake one. So Clutch Power sneakily got away with the real one. And we didn't even notice that was the fake one at the time. That was just pretty cool. But yeah, episode 10 is over. Now we move on to the next one. Now, this episode is basically called Paper Girls, or in this case, Paper Girl. And this episode's about Antonia and Lil Nelson again. And basically, this is about Antonia leaving, and Nelson doesn't like this and calls Antonia a quitter. And Antonia's gonna go work in an ice cream shop called the Dairy Dragons. And this is the part where they do lots of, and then later down the line they see Merlopians attack, and then they go and have their lunch break. And Antonia mentions the flavors they have, like Minty Moro, Banana Con, or something, and some other references like Orange Serpentine, I think. And then it's been revealed that Nelson's favorite ice cream flavor is Banana Con. And Antonia's like, think of the upside. Well, I can give you all of that Banana Con you can have. And then they drive past and they see the Explorers Club and they see Kai, Cole, Wu, and Ray fighting them off. Ray fighting off Kalmar specifically. Kalmar loses the amulet and Antonio gets it and basically runs away with the amulet. And then there's a big chase that comes in. And then eventually later down the line, Kalmar learns how to drive one of those vessels. I mean, very poorly, but he still learns how to drive one of those trucks and starts chasing Antonia and Monas. And then Kai comes off in the roof and basically starts coming at Kalmar, makes a funny joke like, "Do you remember me?" And like Kalmar's like, Of course I do. I seen you 5 minutes in the street." And then Kai's like, "It's sarcasm. Something you wouldn't understand." That was very funny. That was just like a cool joke that Kai did. Say whatever you guys want about like the new Kai, but you gotta admit that joke, the joke with Kai in season 15, I mean, in this episode was very good. That was just very funny. It was actually very good, very good. So yeah, the Antonia and Lilness makes it with their bikes over a bridge, and then Kai and Kalmar basically in the same traffic jump try to make it, but they fall down. And before they do, they make some weird expressions, and oh my god, I love those. Like that. That was like one of the best scenes. You could literally just take a picture of that and send it to me. That'd be amazing and funny. It's literally just funny. So the Antonio and Lones gets off their bikes and leave the star amulet in the basket of the bike, and they try to look down and see what happens and sees if Kai's okay. Kalmar makes it out and basically takes the storm amulet, and here's another part of the references. Kalmar asks and Antonia, which he finds out his name, and asks if he's a ninja, an elemental master, and an oni, a vermilion, and Kalmar pronounces it as Serpenton, but that's like an arrow, so it's Serpentine. And then here's one that has not been seen yet in the show, Mystics. And I believe that the name Mystics are probably going to appear in the next season or the next installment of Ninjago. I think the Mystics are going to be the next villain because they're like the only ones that have not been mentioned yet. So I can't wait to see. I bet there's gonna be Mystics like sometime down the line. And Kalmar has taken on and heard about and taken on Serpentine, taken on Vermilion and Oni, and they existed a long time ago. So it makes sense for him to mention. But then eventually Kalmar jumps in the water and escapes with the Storm Amulet. And then Antonia saves Kai and basically saves him. And then basically, Kai meets up with Cole, Wu, and Ray. They run off after Kalmar, and basically Antonia says that later after they left from those ninjas, Antonia decides not to quit and joins the Nest back in the News Never Sleeps stuff. This episode is probably the weakest episode maybe in the season, but it's still okay what we got. This episode's still fun. So yeah, now we move on to basically this is the episode that starts the finale kind of ish. Like the almost this is like the episode that contributes to the finale the next because the finale is like 4 episodes long and this one starts like those 4 episodes. Master of the Sea Time. This is the episode where we learn about more about Ninjago's lore. So Bethamar explains that Wajira was the one who was taken who has ruled that realm before the first Sphinx Master came. The first Sphinx Master basically saw Wajira and asked, and the Merlopians and the Keepers came to help, but they were not enough until one warrior, basically named Nia, the original Elemental Master of Water, came and saw the amulets, but basically realized that the only way she could beat Wajira is by merging with the Endless Sea. But however though she cannot come back to her human form, so it was a risk. So she sacrificed himself to get rid of the amulet, both amulets, and gave one to the Merlopians and one to the Keepers. And then Bethamar was explaining to like Nia J that crew, which basically went underwater early on. Meanwhile, Master Wu, Kai, Ray, Misako, and Cole come stopping Kalmar from leaving the docks to the ocean. And eventually they get captured and they get put on to their and they sink them. But then the Hydra bounty comes up, and then the underwater crew saves those ninjas that fell down. And Kalmar comes out over to and tries to destroy Nia, obviously, or is like angry. And before Nia's about to be killed by Kalmar, Bethamar comes in to stop Kalmar, and basically says, "You're you're not going to help. You're mad that you're going to awaken Wajira." And then Kalmar tries to trick Bethamar into trying to get him to join him, but it was all a distraction. So Gripe can shoot off an energy and temporarily weaken Bethamar. And then Kalmar tries to retreat, and Nia basically uses her powers on the whales and goes after Kalmar, and they get the and then they eventually then Nia comes back later and brings them the storm amulet. And and then back in the monastery, Nia basically gives Bethamar the tour and basically asks if Bethamar wants to stay since Kalmar's is still down there in the ocean. And Bethamar says yes. They come on in. I mean, Nia comes to see her mom, and Kai spends last time with Ray. So yeah, Ray and Maya start to go, and Nia and Maya again foreshadows that this is like her last adventure with her. And then Nia's like, "Who says this has to be our last adventure?" And then Bethmar comes in over to ask Lloyd, Zane and Jay where the storm amulet's being kept, and Lloyd's like, "You don't need to worry about it. We have hid some in high places. We have friends in high places." And then the first thing comes to mind, like, is it Cloud Kingdom? Or is it, and then like the second thing that comes to mind is Shintaro? And then what happens? And then you would think that the episode would end with basically with that, but no. We see Shintaro, which is probably the most freaking out moment of the whole episode. Like, that's the most surprising thing besides the flashback in the beginning. Like, the most surprising thing is we get to see Shintaro. We get to see the Upply. We get to see Murtessa and Gulch, who are basically the Months and Gecko's leader. We see Chompy. And then we hear Vanya and Hailmar talk for a little bit. Like, it's probably like one line or something. One line. And Cole is the one who's coming in, which it makes sense for Cole to come in because Cole and Vanya have a thing, but not like a loving relationship. But obviously, it's Cole who would obviously come in, and then they tell them to keep the storm amulet safe. But then when they leave, it's turned out to be that there was a crack in the storm amulet, and it ends up being a fake. Man, that episode was amazing. This episode was just awesome. And like to see, and we got Vanya and Hamar talking for at least one line, which was cool. We got to see lots of references. However, we don't see King Vangelis anywhere. We don't know what happens to him. We don't know if he's dead or not still. That has not been explained. But we will eventually hear once how. I mean, Vangelis or the Skull Sorcerer will be mentioned when the Vengeance Buyer will be revealed probably. So we'll find out what happens to him. So yeah, that episode was amazing. Obviously, this episode was just crazy, very good. And then this title card is basically like is gonna be this is like another this is the next episode, Calm Before the Storm, which starts off the finale, which is a 4-part finale. So the episode starts off with the people in the ship. I mean, like a boat thing. Like they see there's like a storm coming in and it's very dark. They see Kalmar riding with Jira, and then once they leave, that it turns bright over there, and then at the docks there's like a still rumble, and then Gluttonous apparently comes out and asks if he could speak, and he wants to speak to the ninjas. So and then back in the and then they cut to the arcade, like the Benny's arcade or something, and Jay's there and sees Prime Emperor and watches people play and him being in the Prime Empire. And then Nia's isn't near the Dancy Pants game, and then names one of the dance moves after them, like Jay and Nia, like Jaya. So it's very cute how they dance, like the dancing, especially since we all know what's gonna happen later in the season. Like this is like one of their last like one of their last fun activities they did together. And then Wu eventually calls them and asks them to, and then they all meet at the police station, and they see Gluttonous. Bethamar is obviously there, and Gluttonous reveals that Kalmar has awakened Wajira, and Kalmar has tricked Nia when Nia that he they get that she grabbed the wrong amulet. She grabbed the amulet out of Kalmar's hand was the fake one, while Kalmar hid the real one near him and held it up. And when Kalmar went back to the Wajira temple, he summoned Gluttonous to put it on the Wajira's head, and Gluttonous eventually decides to not to be evil. Eventually got scared and decides to turn over to the good side. So yeah, Gluttonous is now good, warning the ninjas. And this was 2 days ago from the Master Sea to this episode of the Calm Before the Storm. It was like a 2-day gap. So then Master Wu calls Pixel to get rid of some of the vehicles, and eventually they give a warning to all the people that there's a warning coming in. Please evacuate and all that, but it's too late because Wajira comes in and basically blasts the bridge, and all the water comes now and floods in, and yeah, they chase after Gale Gossip and Vinny, or Gale Gossip and Vinny are running away from this part. So that is it for episode 13. And also in this episode, we got some cameos like Okinu. I forgot to mention the cameo in the Paper Girl episode was also Unagami, so Kiddo Unagami, so that's pretty cool. So, yeah, that was basically it for that episode. This episode is over. So now we're moving on to the next one. Assault on Ninjago City. And this episode is basically full of action. And we see our pal Dareth. Dareth is one of the first people we see, besides Patty Keys, who has returned from Season 6, Wishmasters. And Dareth is gonna try his best to help people. And this Dareth is very good. He's not that bad as in Season 9, 11, or 12. I mean, 12 seems, ugh. 12, I mean, it wasn't that bad. He wasn't in much for Season 11, 12, but still. But then Season 8 and 9, like, Dareth, and then 11, 12, no. So then this Dareth is much better. He actually tries to help people. But obviously he's not succeeding. So Jay comes in with his car and helps out Dareth. And then Dareth gets washed away by a wave. Nia comes in with her scuba suit, and she's the only one who is wearing her scuba suit for the final battle, and saves Dareth. And the rest of the episode is basically about them fighting, and Bethamar tries to reason with the Urlopians and tries to tell them the truth that Kalmar is the one who actually killed him, but Gripe and the Urlopians start not to believe him, so they eventually just fight. And then they try to still take down Wojira at the same time. So Jay eventually in his car shoots missiles at him. Wojira eventually misses. Wojira starts to bite out Jay's car, starts to crack it, and then Nia shoots water at Wojira and Wojira lets go of Jay's car, and it sinks down. And then there's like a cool standoff position where Nia is basically holding water in her hand on the side, and there's like lightning in the sky. And Kalmar's like, "You." And then Nia's like, "This ends now." And then Kalmar's like, "I was hoping you would say that." And then Nia was and Kalmar like, "Yeah." Ah. Like, that was one of the best cool ways to end the episode. That was very cool. So this episode was very good with the action. If you're a fan of a lot of action, then this episode's for you. And then the end of the episode was cool. But now we move on to the next two episodes, Nia, and this is the start of the emotional side. This episode starts the emotion side. The emotion and the sadness is starting in this episode. Alright, so this episode basically starts off where the last one started, where Nia is obviously taking on Kalmar, and Jay is basically trying to escape his subcar because it's flooding. It's leaking and there's water coming in. But then Master Wu eventually has an idea, eventually says to them to all fall back and go to the NGTV building. And Master Wu eventually puts the Destiny's Bounty in autopilot and sends Kalmar over there to look. But then Kalmar eventually sees that it was on autopilot. They skip. Before this, Nia escapes from Kalmar and tells them they will come back. Bethamar tries to his best to open up and save Jay, but Jay swallowed a little bit too much salt water, so Jay kind of just starts passing out or getting sick. And then they meet up on that building, and Nia runs over to see Jay, and he's like, they bring him inside, and then Kalmar's like, Nia, I'll find you. And then in the Ninja TV building, the ninjas wait around while Nia's looking at Jay, and basically, like, Zane's like saying, if they don't do anything, Jay's conditions has swallowed a lot of water. If they don't get rid of the seawater, Jay will die. And then Kai's idea was like, what about Nia? Couldn't Nia bring out the water inside him? And then, like, Zane says that, or Weave says, Nia's powers do not respond to Jay's. So Nia eventually asked Bethamar how did Nia turn into the Nia form, like the water form. And Bethamar's like, she opened herself up. And Bethamar asked Nia, don't do this. Even, like, don't try this. Nia may have defeated Wajira, but lost herself. So Bethamar is like telling Nia, please don't do this. But then Nia's like, is thinking to herself. Meanwhile, Kalmar basically comes in, gets off of Wajira, asks Grape, where is this? Where are the ninja? And then Gripe says that he found somebody who we don't even know who it is. So maybe this is the mysterious Venstone buyer. I'm not sure, but he finds somebody, and he says that's in his bag. He found like a picture of the police commissioner, the ninja, the six ninja, and Pixel. And Kalmar asked to take me to him, and the sun the sun has risen, and basically Nia tells Jay that I wish we had more time. Never seem to have a break. Nia kisses Jay and goes outside. And this is where the emotional side, and then Nia basically, and we don't even hear Nia say this, but like we hear Nia mouth the words, I love you. And then jumps into the water, and Nia's also like crying at this scene as well. And then Nia jumps into the water and does like some sort of spinjitzu or something. And Nia inhales water, and in return for Jay, it gets the water out of Jay. And then the ninja realized that Nia basically did it, and Bethamar's like, no, and tells Master Wu that she will be lost forever. And they try to go stop Nia, but they couldn't stop her. So Nia is trying to go off to find Kalmar and Rajira, and the ninjas are gonna go help her. The Kalmar and the Urlopians interrogate the police commissioner, and eventually Wajira comes in near the building, and Kalmar gets onto Wajira and sees something wrong, and Nia is finally there in her new form, obviously, and starts to take on Kalmar. That episode, man, this is one of the emotional episodes. This is like a two-part emotional finale. But this isn't the saddest moment of the season yet. No, 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 no. If you cried for this moment, you'll be crying even more for the next episode. Trust me. This episode was amazing, obviously, so we're moving on to the next and final episode. Turn of the Tide. And this finale was very amazing. Just amazing. Like season 13. Season 13 was amazing. This is even better, honestly. Now this battle starts off with Nia having full control of the water and basically taking on Kalmar. And almost finishes Kalmar, and the other ninjas start to arrive, and Jay says Nia, and then Nia gets distracted by Jay, and then Kalmar lightning shots Nia, and then the ninjas start to get mad, and then and then Wajira fires off an energy or like some sort of blast at which blast Master Wu and Jay knocked back. I'd say knocked back. So Jay gets so mad, like he grabs Master Wu's staff, and there's lightning through him, like you can see, and he starts to attack Kalmar, and then while that's going on, Greg comes in and it says attack, and attacks the ninja and Bethamar and Pixel and Wu. But then when Kalmar and then afterwards, Kalmar is basically still battling Jay, and then Jay fell down, and Kalmar is about to finish him, and Bethamar comes in and basically like, I will not let you hurt my friends. And then Kalmar's like, you're no match for me, adopted brother. And like Bethamar's like, I am not your brother, and you will never be my king. And basically mentions Trimar. And basically, Kalmar's like, hmm? Trimar should have left you where you were, or father should have just left you. You're nothing but a sea bait. And then Bethamar's like, you'll pay for what you did to him. Like like those scenes in that battle was like just amazing. Even Jay's part with fighting Kalmar was amazing. Nia fighting Kalmar was amazing. That's still so amazing. Those parts were just cool. And then eventually, Kalmar breaks Bethamar's weapon, basically and pushes Bethamar off. And then before Bethamar makes it to the ground, Bethamar throws another one of his weapons, like his dagger or something, and throws it, breaks the weapon or the power that Kalmar is controlling Wajira with, and also knocks the crown off as well, which is very weird, which is cool too. So Wajira starts to go back to normal. I mean, her own self, like she's no longer in control of Kalmar. Kalmar's no longer controlling Wajira. And Kalmar's like trying to stag his broken weapon. They're like, destroy them, and then Wajira's just like moving herself up. Kalmar's literally in the air, and then Wajira just bites or just eats up Kalmar. And here's the thing: this scene is much better than what we got in season one. In season one, we didn't really see Pythor and Master Wu in season one at the end of episode 12 and the beginning of 13 be swallowed. We just see a little bit of it, but here we get to see Kalmar being swallowed completely, which is pretty cool. And then Wajira eventually is starting to attack the ninjas, and then Gripe and his Urlopian guards start to assumably retreat to back to where they were in the Endless Sea. They probably are going back. And then a water dragon comes up, and it ends up being Nia. Yes, Nia ends up becoming the water dragon, which is so cool. The first ninja, like Nia's the first ninja to become a dragon herself. Like she's the first one. And Lloyd is the one. I mean, Lloyd in season two basically rode his dragon. He's not though. Who turned it into a dragon? So he's the first dragon. Nia is the first ninja who turns into a dragon and literally goes at Wajira and eventually destroys the wave amulet. And then the storm amulet basically, with when the storm amulet starts zapping Wajira, and Wajira basically dies. And Kalmar is dead too. Like, he got zapped. There's no way for Kalmar to survive that. And here comes the most emotional part of the episode that actually made me sad. And I will be explaining the differences between this and the other part. And then the other one from season 3, Zane's death as well. Nia comes up and basically jumps over to the rooftop. The ninjas like greet her, and Kai's like, "Well, we'll have to fix you back." And Nia's like, "Back?" And then like Jay's like, "To normal." And then Nia's like, "Normal? What's going on with her?" And this is and then we find out that the sea is calling to her. The sun comes out. The sea calls to her. The Nia cannot resist the sea. She is bound to the sea. So Nia starts to leave, and Jay is trying to stop her, and then Master Wu tries to also tell Nia to stop, and he's like, "I am Nia. I am the sea. We are one." And Nia tells the ninja to tell her mom that she understands the cookie crumbles thing. So Nia jumps into the water, the flooded Ninjago, and uses her sea goddess powers and lowers the water down, and basically Nia says something emotional as well, like, "You are my friend, all of you." And then she jumps back and she goes back into the water and disappears. And then back in the monastery, Jay's looking at a picture from Hunted, the end of Hunted. This was like the last episode of Hunted Green Destiny, season 9. There was a picture with Jay and Nia hugging each other. Jay was looking at it. Maya comes in and basically asks and tells Jay, and then Jay comes in and tells Maya about the Nia cookie crumbles thing. Then Kai and Cole comes in, and Kai puts his shoulder on Maya. Cole comes to comfort Jay, and then Jay, Jay comes to ask about hopefully Skylar and Derek came, and Cole says, "I think so," and that's literally the final line that Kirby Morrow has said for Cole. Rest in peace, Kirby Morrow. Rest in peace, buddy. Thank you so much for all the hard work you've done for Cole and everything. And then when Cole and Jay come out, they see a lot of characters come out, like Racer 7, Scales, Acidigus, a Beaver, a Monk, Ed and Edna, who are using the Lego Ninjago movie designs. Skylar's there, Derek's there, Clutch Powers, who basically started all this problem, is there. Cecil's there, the British guys are there, Vanya's there, Hailmar is there, the guards, Milton Dyer's there, Akino's there, Kid Ogami's there, who else is there? Racer 7, I said. I'm pretty sure there was other people too. I was just naming the basics. Oh yeah, Gail Gossip, Antonia Nelson, and we're obviously there as well. So yeah, they came over there, and they're doing like a funeral, and like funeral as in the old Nia being gone. So yeah, they came to honor Nia, who basically was a samurai, a water ninja, our deepest friend, like in everything. They pour water in like some sort of vase or something, and then they stand there, and close their eyes and take a moment. And then meanwhile in the ocean, Nia is very happy and is swimming against whales. And then we get a in loving memory of Kirby Morrow's. And that was it for the season. Man, this is what a finale, what a season. And here's one reason why Nia's sacrifice works better than Zane's. Zane's really doesn't, because we knew he was a ninjroid, so there was a possibility he could get rebuilt. There was a chance for him to get saved and rebooted. I mean, rebooted from Rebooted season 3. There was a chance for him to survive. But even before, and then the end of season 3, like the last thing we hear Zane's voice, so we hear that he survived, which takes away from his sacrifice or death. But in this episode, for the turn of the tide, we don't know what happens to Nia. I mean, we do know. I mean, like, she leaves temporarily, but we don't know if she's gonna come back or anything. But it feels like Nia is not going to go back to her human form. If she does come back, she's gonna stay in her water form, which is good. But this isn't the same Nia that we know and love. This is like a different person, and her memories are not that well either. She remembers like a few things. She remembers obviously her ninja friends. She remembers her mother, but she doesn't remember her human side that much. If anything, I'd say like this is similar to Emperor Garbnon's thing from season 10. I'd say that this is basically similar. Like Nia's trying to figure out who she is, similar to Garmadon, who he is like from season 10. Like I love how it's like similar to Garmadon in a way, but different. But yeah, Nia, man, I have no idea. I'm still thinking. I'm still hoping she can come back. She would come back eventually. But her being a main member, I'm not sure at this point. And I hope that they talk about the future reflections thing, because I don't even know. At this point, I'm not even believing in the future reflections at this point. Because at this point, I'm just going to accept that they don't matter yet until we get a confirmation word on it. But yeah, man, Nia's basically just. She's not dead. I mean, she's not dead, but she's like the old herself is gone. Like that's probably what the funeral was. The funeral was for the old Nia, like the Nia before she merged with that water thing. And it does, and I mean, this was probably as well for after. But yeah, that is it for the season. And Kalmar is very good. Nia is very good. Finally, Nia's finally got her own season. Cole did in season 13. Bethamar was a good side character. King Trimar was a good character for 3 episodes, like 2 episodes and then one flashback episode. And Maya was also good for the moments we saw of her. And yeah, this season was just amazing. And who knows what we're gonna get this year? I mean, for the rest of this year, we're probably gonna have to wait until January or February to 2022 to hear what's gonna happen with the next season. The next season, I mean, I think next year we're gonna get the Benchstone arc, Nia's arc, maybe we might get as well, but I'm not sure. We might not see Nia until like maybe the end of 2022 or something. Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. And one more thing. Ninjago!